Hey guys, what's going on? I'm going to do a follow on from my Jason Bond Lightning Alerts review here. So, over the last few days, I've been talking about this service. It's a penny stock trading service. If you haven't watched my other videos yet, I'm putting them all in this article, which I'll leave a link to in the description below. So, I'll put the link to this article. It is everything about the service, which comes in multiple parts. It's kind of a complex service in terms of like figuring out what parts and what alerts you get and things. So hopefully this review helps. And like I said, I've got different parts to this review, and you'll find the videos inside this article. And so on my previous video, I talked about the pre-market alerts. So if we scroll down to here, it's called the Daily Lightning Strike Alert. So between 7 and 9 roughly, he does a pre-market penny stock market mover alert. So he's buying momentum pre-market, usually done before the market opens. So I talked about that in this video, which I put down right here. So if you're interested in just trading pre-market penny stocks, you might want to watch this video, read this article, because that's what I've been looking at up until now. And so every day that happens, Jason's live streaming the whole time. And basically, for the first 2 hours, so from 7 till 9 Eastern time, he's doing a trade, usually one trade. And then from 9:30 when the market opens, he switches to this gap and go strategy. And that's what I want to talk about today, because this is a strategy that I'm fairly familiar with. A lot of people try this, like on penny stocks. If a penny stock is gapping up on news, they try and capitalize on momentum. So the whole idea is that it gaps up on news, and then a bunch of buyers come in at market open and push it higher. And so people use different levels, they have different strategies for this. And Jason's no different. He's been doing this strategy for a long time now, and it's called the gap and go strategy. So this is interesting the way he does this. It's all done live stream, so if you're looking for text alerts or app alerts, you're not really going to get those with this. And that's because these things are generally, you've really got to be in the chat room live while he's doing them. And so usually it's just for the first hour of market open, which can be convenient for some people, right? Because you can just sit in the chat room and you get the commentary and ask Jason questions, and he's really good at answering. So that's something I really like about Jason's lightning alerts in general, is you can get like your handheld kind of thing through the trades. So the general idea is pretty simple. At market open, he'll buy a penny stock, which is already gapping up overnight. And if it doesn't work within 30 minutes to an hour, it's usually just like a dud, and he'll cut it. And that's the length of time that you can sort of expect to be in the trade for. And like I said, I'm pretty familiar with this type of strategy. I've traded them in the past, back in 2020. These were working pretty well, and they were usually gapping up and then continuing. However, in this sort of bearish, weaker market, what I'm finding is a lot of these are gapping up and then just fading back down straight away. So that's what makes this type of strategy kind of tough at the moment. So it's not so much a reflection on Jason's ability as in that the strategy might be not the best for this type of market. And you'll see a couple of examples that I've done over the last couple of days as we go through here. And so obviously the couple of trades don't really mean a lot, but you know, this I just thought I'd show them and kind of give a commentary on my thoughts on the gap and go part of a lightning alert. So let's start with day one, which was Sonn, SONN. He alerted this and entered it in real time inside the chat room within about a minute of market open. So you see his order actually going through. He says, hey guys, I'm in at 1.5 or 1.6 or whatever he was in at. And then he gives a commentary and says, hey, if it doesn't hold this area, I'm probably going to stop out. His stops are quite loose, so that's something to bear in mind. You can use him as guidance, but at the same time, he has a higher risk tolerance than a lot of people. So you may want to have your own stop loss in place to manage to trade yourself, just because Jason tends to let these things have plenty of room, which is okay. It's not the way I like to play it because I always end up taking a big loss. But let's walk through what happened in Sonn, and then we'll do one that happened this morning a little bit. So I'll zoom in here so you can see this a little bit. So he gives some commentary on the trade. So he entered around the 1.5, 1.6 area, and this is a chart of what actually happened. I took the trade as well. Try and zoom in a little bit. And so you can see here, like it gapped up overnight, which is great. But as the market opened, this like sold off and started to base around here. So I actually took the trade around here. I think he was in a little earlier up here somewhere. And then we had this little start of a run, and then just a fade for the rest of the day. And so I stopped out around here for a small loss. I think Jason did something similar as well. And so this was an example of a gap and crap rather than a gap and go. And you see this pattern quite a bit with the strategy these days. So I'm not a huge fan of the gap and go in theory, and in a bull market it works well, but in this market it's kind of a little weak. So wasn't super excited about this trade. So that was day one. Small loss, kept it pretty tight, so not too impressive. Day two, which was this morning, was PRE, and that was for the gap and go as well. This one was a little different, similar kind of, but like in a way it did spike a bit more, so some people were able to exit for a decent profit, and I'll go into that a little bit. And so this one was a little bit of later entry. In fact, it was probably 5 minutes after market open when Jason entered around here. But a lot of subscribers were entering a little further down, which is nice. These are trades that you don't have to generally chase. There's usually a bit of downwards momentum before they hopefully recover, and the idea is they would continue up. But like I said, we're seeing a lot of fading recently, so not the best. This trade was good too in terms of he was talking us through it quite nicely. Did have a nice candle here. This is the 1 minute chart. And so subscribers that were maybe getting a little nervous about how the market was doing or whatnot would probably exit here. And in the chat room I did see some people exiting here. Unfortunately, Jason did hold it down to 2.5 or something, so he did actually hold it and took a small loss on it. These are only 10 or 20%. You know, we're not talking about 50% losses or anything here. So at $3 a share, 10% is about 30 cents. So 270 would be down here. So we're talking like 10% either way. So the goal is 10 to 20% profit, and if it goes down, trying to cut it fairly quickly as well. So unfortunately, my day two was also a losing alert on the gap and go strategy. Here's the actual chart from earlier. So this was pre. And what was a little frustrating with this is we were seeing a sell-off on pre with just this little spike, despite the fact that the overall market was actually going up. So we had a reasonable uptrend on SPY straight out the gates this morning, and unfortunately pre didn't really hold up. We kind of had the opposite trend here, so kind of another dud. So far I'm not super impressed with the morning gap and go part of Jason Bond stuff. I'd say so far for me the value in the service has been the chat room, so talking to people in the chat room. Let's go and have a look in there again. So in here this is quite good. I like the fact that he's very transparent, so like you get to see his scanner, you have Jason talking and giving commentary. I'll often ask him questions, he'll answer within a minute or so. Other people do the same thing. So in terms of like guidance, you get a lot of guidance. In terms of the actual alert so far, I've been underwhelmed. Now the service is split into really several sections, and the sections I've talked to up until now has been the day trades, so pre-market, intraday, and then the gap and go, which is within about an hour in and out. So the real power of this lightning alerts is the swing trading aspect of it, and that's where he really does well. So in the next few videos I'm going to talk about the swing trades, and you can even see that like AMAM was a swing trade and it already hit 26% today. And so really I would say if you are enjoying the intraday stuff, you should definitely still be doing the swing trading, because they tend to be more successful, more laid back. So as of now, I would suggest that if you join the service, and it's only like $70 a month, give it a try for like a month. The swing trade part of it is probably going to be what you find to be the most profitable, at least in my very short experience of the service. However, it's still fun to get up and listen to Jason's commentary and go through different ideas for the day. Again, you don't actually have to take his ideas. You can, in terms of his actual alerts, you can go through and do your own research based on what he's finding as well. And you see that in the chat room, and some of these guys are doing better than Jason based on stuff that Jason's bringing up. And so it's kind of a cool community. There's usually about 200 people in here, so you get to talk to them and things. And so if you're interested in this style, it reminds me a little bit of Market Navigator with Jeff Williams, where you're getting this like very much integrated approach with the live streaming things. So So overall, a couple of days into the Lightning Alert service, the day trades are not working that well, which is a little disappointing. They're not big losses or anything, but at the same time, there's not really been any huge wins. So overall, that's like 3 trades I've taken. 3 or 4. 1 or 2 pre-market, and then 1 or 2 gap trades now, gap and goes. And so far, they've just kind of died off, fizzled off. So that being said, I still think there's value in the service. Over the next few videos in the next week or so, I'm going to start talking more about the swing trades. So I'm going to start taking the swing trades and looking at how they work overall, which will be hopefully pretty exciting. If we go into here, I can kind of just give you a very quick overview. So you do get emails and stuff about this. It's just these day trades. You don't really get like the usual alerts that you'd expect. Here's the overview if I sign back into my Raging Bull app here. So this is what you cover. So I've talked about the pre-market stuff. I've talked about the gap and go. That's what I was just discussing here. And then of course I want to move on to the hour of swing trading. So where he looks for and discusses the swing trades that he's going to be taking. The cool thing with those is you do get alerts and you do get updates via email and things as well. So if you can't be in the chat room all the time, you can still get some value from this. So I'm excited about looking at seeing what these moonshots are. So that'll be interesting. And so hopefully I'll have some more videos soon about the rest of this service, which is supposedly the core of the service. So yeah. Anyway, that's all for today. Enjoy the rest of your week.